I'm your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and this is Moments of Reflection. Let's dive right into our discussion for today. Remember, these moments of reflections are just that, my reflections on specific things, specific philosophies behind them, concepts, or ideologies. So today I want to look at Isaiah 53 and 5. But he was wounded for our transgression. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. There are so many different takes on this scripture. I've heard many evangelicals say that this is not a healing that extends into the body. And many believe that God can heal, but this is not a carte blanche to believe that all are healed. Many believe that this healing takes place from the eradication of sin. Excuse me. However, when we talk about the sin approach, we have to realize that the scripture says he has destroyed the power or the capacity of sin to rule over us. But there are still some things that are still lingering in what we would call our humanity or our sarx or flesh. First of all, there is the power of sin that's been broken by the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And as we enter into faith, then that power is diminished. It can no longer control us. And that's why Paul says, don't let it rule in your mortal bodies. But then there is the presence of sin, the defects of our flesh, the part of sin that has been condemned to operate in our humanity until we are resurrected, or if we are alive when he returns, until we are translated, and this mortality will put off mortality and put on immortality. And then finally, the penalty of sin. This yet remains to be seen. It depends on whether or not we are operating within the context of that which pleases Christ and we are caught up to meet him. And so only the power of sin has been broken. But here, if it is the power of sin, then we have to understand by sin came death. By sin came the degradation and the dysfunctionality of our humanity, both mentally and physically. I firmly believe that God still heals. He has the power to heal whosoever he desires. But I also believe that this scripture brings to mind that because he has destroyed the power of sin, then the power of all sickness to remain in us, to ravage us. I believe there is a time and a place where God can and will heal, where we can claim hold to the very promises of God by faith and overcome specific things that seek to rage us or to rage in us. We also have to remember that there are times that God will glorify himself through the means in which we live and the means in which we die. There are times that the process of suffering will bring about a shift and a change within us. It's something about suffering that has a purifying effect if we understand what God is doing. Sometimes if we had no problems, if we had no issues, we more likely would not pray. And so we thank God for his wisdom in doing all things. But if he's healed us from sin, sin brought forth death. Sin brought forth the demise of our physiology. Sin brought forth disease. And so that healing of the sin factor also brings us into a state where we can now approach the throne to acquire grace. This topic is one that fascinates me, so I think I'm going to do a Bible study later on this and we're going to unpack this so we can understand what the Scripture is literally saying exegetically. I believe Scripture speaks for itself within the context in which the Scripture is housed. I thank you for joining us. I'm your host, and this has been Moments of Reflection. God bless you. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Derek Reeves. And until next time, God bless and keep you.